Today, Russia maintains very good relation with many countries around the world, especially with the countries that comes into Russian Commonwealth. It also has military bases in these countries. But Russia's relation with these countries are limited to some extent. This may be because of their size and less influence in the world. And if we speak about most influential countries, Russia's closest and most important relation goes with India and China. India and China are basically Russia's strategic partners. Today, India and China are two most populous countries and they are counted among fastest growing major economies in the world. Both countries annually carry billion-dollar trade with each other. In fact, China is India's largest trading partner, but their relation deteriorate from time to time due to a number of military standoff and border skirmish. Despite long-standing border disputes, both maintains very close relation with Russia. Russia's relation with China dramatically improved since the collapse of Soviet Union. They both are part of United Nations Security Council, BRICS and G20. Their relations are based on economic and geopolitical interest. Today, they both might have close relations, but these relations have never been same as India's relation with Russia. Relation between Russia and China kept on changing whenever there was shift of power in the region. If we go back to the Soviet era, relation between these two countries were completely opposite, despite of being world's largest communist state at that time. When PRC was established, Soviets were among first to approach and form close ties with the Chinese. Initially their relations were very good, but later, due to ideological difference between Nikita Khrushchev and Mao Zedong, and then due to border disputes, their relations severely deteriorated. And after Sino-Soviet split, Chinese developed relation with the Americans. During Tiananmen Square protest in 1989, China forcefully suppressed peaceful political protest. Human rights violation during this suppression invited number of economic sanctions against China by the United States and Western world, which also includes arms embargo. When it stopped receiving support from the Western world, China switched back to the Soviet successor, Russia. In the same way, when Russia received sanctions from European Union and United States for annexing Crimea, it turned towards China for economic support. This shows how dynamic were Russia and China foreign relations from time to time. But this is not the case with India. India's relation with Russia traditionally have been strong. India continued to follow close relation with the Russians since the relationship were first established with the Soviet Union. During Soviet era, Soviets were the main suppliers of arms and economically supported India until its dissolution. And after collapse of Soviet Union, Russia inherited these close ties. Thereafter, these relations got transformed into strategic partnership. Even after collapse of Soviet Union, Russia continued to be main supplier of arms. Now both countries are collaborating in defense space, civil nuclear, science and technology, and many more. Even China and Russia share extensive cooperation in defense and many other fields. But their relations are not emotionally invested one like between India and Russia. Today, Russia and China are close only because of strong opposition from the Western world. Continuous embargoes brought these two countries close to each other. Otherwise, situation would have been different if they both had no disputes with the West. Both Russia and China don't want United States to expand its influence in the region next to them. Today, China is concerned about United States' influence in Gulf region, India's dominance in the Indian Ocean region, and South China Sea disputes, from where China's 70% trade passes through sea route. Therefore, hence for now, for oil and other raw materials, it relies on Russia. There might be a problem between India and China, but this will not last as soon as border disputes comes to an end. Even though India had made strategic partnership with the United States, but still it won't affect India's relation with Russia. because India basically is a neutral country. During Cold War, it never allied with the West nor with the Eastern Bloc. In fact, it was one of the leading members of non-alignment movement. As India is cozying up with the United States, Russia recently has too cultivated military links with the Pakistan. This is a good move for Pakistan's foreign policy, but however, Russians made it clear its relation with Pakistan won't come at expense of their relation with India. India and US relation will continue, but it will not always remain same as today's relations once India's border disputes with China and Pakistan get resolved. In the same way, China and Russia's relation will continue, but it won't always remain same as today's relations once US influence in Middle East, Korean Peninsula and South China Sea is limited.